Oh, sorry. Oh, is this roll call? Sorry, I beg your pardon. Okay. Chair Banak.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Bottenberg. Commissioner Varnes. Here. And Commissioner Rahman.
Here.
Okay. Thank you.
Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I get any nominations to approve for approval of agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda. Also.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes from September 11th. We'll hear a nomination to approve them.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? They are approved. Rita, any public comment?
No.
Any written comments? Good. So now we'll talk to new business. We have some folks from Cross Path Counseling. Would you care to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what Cross Path Counseling does?
Before we start, if anyone speaks, can you just press your microphone, please? Yeah. Yeah, and you can switch it off. So just press it and you should get a green button. Thank you.
Are we good? Can you hear me? Okay. So my name is Zachary Carlson. I'm the director at Cross Path Counseling. Cross Path was created in 2008 as a group venture between Youth Eastside Services and Friends of Youth, and the city of Sammamish was also, I don't know if they're a partner, but they definitely were instrumental in the placement of where Cross Path found itself. And it was to call a need that Sammamish had. Sammamish didn't have any or very, let's say, sophisticated mental health agencies in the area that at that time, anyway, it's changed now. So there was a need, and everybody got together and decided to create CrossPath as an entity that serves youth and family primarily. We have expanded outside of just that niche, and I think we always have, but we sort of see everybody, everyone. And then in 2019, I believe it was 2019, is when the city of Sammamish approached CrossPath and YES and Friends of Youth to expand and offer a grant position that is now serving the community with counseling services at little to no cost, if possible, and consultations, free 30-minute consultations to either obtain services at CrossPath or refer out to other agencies that are more applicable to the concerns that they're experiencing, or if we've been here in the community for a really long time, and seen a lot of people in this general area and a lot of Sammamish residents too. So that's kind of it.
And I'm Jamie Sweeney. I'm the person who is funded by the grant, therapist. And as Zach said, 2019 was the year that you all implemented that. It was in response to a high rate of suicidality and fentanyl use in the city and I believe the suicidality was at Skyline. There were a number of kids that completed suicide that year. And subsequently through the pandemic, and has been a real need. And the need has not tailed off. My position, like I said, we do the free 30-minute consults for folks. I see 5 to 10 of those a week, and the variety of issues is vast. Those calls can lead to services provided by me as their therapist. And so I see 17 to 20 folks a week for therapy. A lot of those folks are low or no pay. The age range is, I think my youngest now is 7. My oldest is 80. And so I have a breadth of ages that I see. And I took some notes around, because I figured you'd want to know kind of what I was seeing. Anxiety is probably foremost, anxiety, depression. A lot of the bulk of my caseload are child and adolescent kids or young adults. So I would say from 12 to 25-ish would be probably 60 to 70% of my caseload from the past 15 months. And those folks, anxiety, depression, suicidality, school stress, substance use, family dynamics, LGBTQ plus issues, bullying, OCD are just kind of a list of things that I'm working with at this time. The free assessments provide folks in the community access. It provides people a way in, and one of the great things that the grant does is it provides people the ability to go from a kind of low stress, maybe low anxiety level to where they have concern, but it prevents them from going into a crisis, which then results in things that are happening in the community that we all don't want to see. And so it's a way to kind of let the pressure off of that for a lot of people. And the other piece with the consults, I'm typically full. My caseload shifts occasionally because people are people and we all have changes to our schedules. But I'm able to refer out to people either at CrossPath, or we have a long list of local providers as well that I can do a soft handoff to and make sure that people land in a good place in an appropriate place for them. There are things that I don't do, and if people come to me, then I can refer them out to that service, which might be better. I don't do couples counseling at this point, and for really significant substance use disorders, I don't do those as well. Those are 2 examples of things. And so I just want to say thank you for the support. I feel it's doing really good work in the community, and I'd love to answer any other questions you might have.
I know one of the things, as I mentioned, I saw something on Facebook when it's Mamish that, people were like, they're always posting, hey, I need a counselor or something like that. Is there like more that maybe you can do in like social media, like, hey, we're here for you, we can help you, and we're city funded to let people know, especially young people, that you're a valuable resource for the community.
I'm just curious, is that on like Facebook that you're
The
noticing that?
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. Our online presence is, I'm in charge of that. I guess we could divvy it up for sure, definitely. But I mean, it is it's something that we're lacking in. Definitely, our website is probably from 2008 and has been adjusted and sort of cleaned up a little bit. But yeah, that would definitely be something I think that would be helpful. I mean, any way that we can get visibility out there is helpful. I think being in the newsletter once a year would be nice. Summer months would probably be best because that's kind of when people are out of school and generating some more but yeah, definitely social media is something I think we get expanded
A lot of
to.
referrals from the schools.
We do get a lot of referrals from the schools. So Issaquah School District has now, they started contracting with Swedish, because Swedish hospital, they have their own sort of internal mental health program, and they've contracted with the Issaquah School District. We do receive referrals from them. Don't say anything, because I think that when it becomes overloaded there, they will, because they've naturally sent to us for years. So we do still receive, but Lake Washington School District is YES, who is again a close affiliate of ours. They have someone embedded in the administration or on the board of the Lake Washington School District. So we had a lot of referrals from a lot of the other schools in the
We
area.
also have counselors there too.
And yeah,
YES has counselors at all the middle and high schools.
right.
Do
And
they?
so,
Mhm.
yeah,
They're in
so,
Smash.
yeah, and they are like true counselors.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing there. And so when their caseload gets too full, they will refer out to us and find us. And that's for my internship. That's what I did. And that, and it's a really exceptional program and a unique program. And so I'm happy that those kids have that resource too. Yeah, we reach out to the schools routinely. It's interesting with social media because there are therapist groups that are on, and people will then reach out in search of kind of stuff, and those people get grabbed up pretty quickly.
Very
And we put our name out there, every now and then, and put our name on. But it's like anything with social media; it just gets farther down the road. But yeah, we're trying to get and stay in that, but to stay on top of that is like be a whole different
It's at
job,
least a
too.
part-time job for sure. Yeah.
There are a lot of people in need for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good point. That is it does sort of get lost in the shuffle. Someone posts, I need a therapist for these needs, and you'll post something, but after an hour, there's 20 people there's a need for clinicians need clients too. There's a lot of clinicians out there building caseload or building practices and private practices and looking for people. So there's a lot of competition, definitely. But I think a lot of what helps us stay on top of it is the relationships we have with the schools, right?
With churches or
No, we
various
don't.
other newsletters, like even to the, let's say the senior programming at the lodge, they all have family members.
Mhm.
And just getting the word out to more people through that.
Yeah, let me write that
It's a
down.
lot.
Beaver Lake Lodge
Okay.
has senior program Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Chamber is really good about putting information into their weekly things to remind people of.
Really? Okay, yeah. So the Beaver Lake Lodge, what's the
See,
association?
the American Community Services, I'll get you the information.
Okay, that'd be really helpful. Yeah, yeah. Especially anything that's in Sammamish, because the position would be very wonderful. Yeah.
Talk to me more about in churches, do you feel like it would just putting information
Yeah,
on the board?
yeah.
and-
Because many have clergy, have counseling starts with people.
Yeah, for sure.
So the big deals like what you can manage or refer out would be.
Yeah, they're doing pastoral care for sure.
So I know, is that too loud?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I know the Issaquah School District has a mentoring program called Voice Mentors. And I'm sure that Lake Washington School District does too. Do you guys work with mentoring services or refer to mentoring services at all for any patients?
Can you just describe what that?
Sure. So it's kind of like a peer kind of. So like someone goes to the school and then during like their homeroom, for example, they work with the student and they kind of just like talk with them about how their day's going. They kind of play games with them. So is that kind of like something you guys see as a solution to some of the problems that you see with kids in the community?
I think it would be, having worked in schools for a long time, mentoring is a real proactive way to prevent kids from getting to the level that they would need to see me.
Okay.
So for a lot of kids, it's a powerful way, and not unlike group therapy, which is something that is also really powerful, but at the age that they're at, depending upon the age, that group work can be really, and in some ways, more meaningful than it.
Yeah, I just mentioned it because I've seen like the impact it has on some students.
Yeah.
And like for sure it could not lead them down that path if they
Yeah.
do continue that. So
This is usually a weekly get together.
yeah. So like I have a
Program or with a special time, and it goes from elementary school right through.
elementary school. So I worked with a student in 5th grade. I helped him transition into middle school. And so like he's doing a lot better than I saw him previously. So yeah, it was good to see that he didn't, it was kind of like a risk thing that they kind of told me about, like he could go down this path, like you guys were saying. So I just thought it'd be curious to like to see like, do you, like if someone did have a serious condition, would you refer to the mentoring first, or would you immediately start off with therapy?
If it's a serious condition, I would
Yeah.
put them in therapy.
Therapy, okay.
And that's, I mean, it's a great segue into the 30-minute consultation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to folks if there were larger concerns.
Okay.
That conversation. But the other piece of that is like training. It's not like we could be helpful for people
Yeah.
to help them understand what to look for, but they probably have those resources.
Yeah.
And my guess is it's part of their training. They're probably looking.
This was actually, so I was Jamie in Jamie's position before I became director, and this was something that I was speaking with, I forget their name, they were with Eastside Catholic, and they were wanting someone to come in and like 1 day a week to sit in an office and kind of like, I think it was like this sort of like a program we're talking about. It wasn't feasible to provide that service and the grant position, fulfill the grant position just with time. So I think it's wonderful. I think the training is definitely something that would be a needed piece, but time would definitely be a problem. Maybe, but you know, it could work.
Working that DBT for long with people. I can
There are a
only
couple-
say it once before I forget the first
Dialectic
word.
behavioral.
Behavioral therapy. I get that
Yeah,
part.
it's fascinating stuff. DBT is great, and it's so skills based. For me, what I'm doing is taking those individual skills and working on that with clients that it's going to be useful. And so if it's mindfulness skills that we need to work on, then we can do that. And the premise of DBT, when Marshall Linehan developed it, was to kind of merge Eastern philosophy and really effective kind of research-based psychological study. And that has been really great. A lot of DBT, her intent was to use it in a very intensive setting. And so I've had clients that I've referred to like truly authentic DBT. But what that means is you have a team of 5 people, and you could do PHP, partial hospitalization. And then what that also means is that parallel to that is parents getting skills training beside that kiddo that is struggling usually with suicidality or self-harm.
It's a lot of staff time.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of staff time. And so do I do DBT? It depends on how you define DBT. I do DBT skills.
If you're saying
with people.
17 to 20 people a week, how do you fit that?
I'm not, like, if I were to say I was doing DBT to the people who are doing they would be like, that's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
You are not doing DBT. And so it's a very precise way of doing intervention when you're doing it with people who are really at risk of not being alive. Her statement is, we need to find you a life worth living. And so that's working with kids who are really, really depressed and really sad.
How many sessions do most people, most ages need? Is it like
It's really
6,
hard to
12,
say.
6 months?
I have people that Zach handed off to me that I'm still seeing. And I have people that I have done sessions of exposure response therapy for like OCD or fear, things related to fear. And it's 6 sessions or something like that. And they're done. And it's really tidy and clean and really reinforcing, but that's rare. That's the short end of the piece.
Substance use and substance abuse, are those part of what you're working with?
I have kids that have come to me that is the reason that they came to me, but what has caused the substance use was anxiety typically. And so really what I'm working on is anxiety and trying to help them realize that numbing out by using substances, and if it's someone who's an addict, it's not for me. That's for someone who has an SEDP certification, and those are people that I would refer out. And I think it's really important to know that there's no way you could find anyone to sit in this position that has all of the things that there's no jack of all trades. And so there's going to be people, there will always be people that I have to refer out, always people, and it's in everybody's best interest to find the right person in the community to help them in the right place to get the best help.
You see groups at all?
We haven't done groups. When we were here at I forget what it's called, but
It's called the 25-year celebration.
25th year
Oh, yeah.
celebration.
The Jubilee.
Yeah,
The Jubilee.
There we go. Yeah.
We asked people to give us feedback on what groups they'd won, and we got very little feedback, but we're trying to kind of figure out. I'm a comprehensive sexuality educator, and that's a group that I would love to, it's like the most amazing work to do with middle school age kids, but to have that as a standalone, most middle school age kids are like, no, I'm not going to go to a stranger and do sex ed. And it was always with kids that I had worked with for a long time and had developed rapport with. And so it's really hard to get that group started. But that was just an example of like what it would mean. And we have a number of folks that work in the practice, and it's certainly something that's on our minds about how
Yes.
can we like make that a reality for kids.
The problem with groups is finding a group that's relative, but that's covered, that insurance would cover, which is challenging to do. You can do a group on anything if people are willing to pay out of pocket. And that's a little bit of the challenge. I mean, it's a fluent area. I mean, it's not like unheard of, but we just haven't had the resources to put together anything like that. I mean, I think with parenting help, we had one person come up to us and discuss sort of a personal anecdote that, a lot of people in Sammamish are in tech, come from an area of the world that is not very wealthy, and then they come into an area that's very wealthy, and they're kind of trying to figure out what to do with themselves with that. And I have a few clients who actually struggle in that way too, and I kind of feel like there is a need for that, definitely. And I also know that the domestic violence, it's a little bit on the rise here, and in this community specifically, there might be some correlation with that too. So, but as far as kid groups and child-centered groups and things like that, we're a ways off from that, I think. But if there is something that comes up, that would be. The other thing too is that if someone's going to run like a DBT group, they have to be DBT certified. They can't.
Yeah.
No one can. Not just anyone can. But when we have people that are, so. But yeah.
Ask actually about you touched a little bit on like the cultural stigma maybe with seeing counselors. We've talked about that as a group before. Are you seeing a more diverse group of patients coming in? Are those things breaking down?
I'll say since I've gotten out of the city position, I've been seeing less teens and children and adolescents, and yeah, a lot more adults and a lot more male adults too, more than I've ever had on my caseload right now. And yeah, with the plethora of issues, sort of what I just recently described. So I think the stigma after COVID has definitely, I don't want to say shattered, but it's definitely cracking, and it's definitely starting to shine through a little bit more as a viable option to get help. Anytime I hear someone talking about it in like a football game or something like that, I'm like, good. We need it all over. That we need it mentioned and advocated for in a lot of different areas. And I think that the more of that happens, the more we're going to see people coming in of all shapes and sizes. So
Yeah, like these athletes that have podcasts or whatever, and they talk
Yeah.
about mental health.
that's
and
it. Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
breaks down the like maybe shame or stigma or whatever it
Right.
is they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say my caseload definitely reflects
So are you saying that your percentage of male to female is pretty even, or is it still even percentage?
Yeah,
Really?
it's pretty close. Yeah. Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
progress.
And I'll say teen males are, I don't know.
heavily female.
Yeah, oh yeah, like I was like the teen girl specialist when I was in that position. I was like, okay, but it definitely a lot more young men coming in for sure in high school, right out of high school, and yeah, so it definitely is for sure turning a corner. I just hope it continues to go in that direction.
anxieties left over from COVID, or are they part of peer pressure, parent pressure?
You
Is that
know,
all 4 O's and
it's definitely, I think with the, I think it's, I mean, it's always been there, but I think that definitely, as far as I can tell, I'll just say with the clients that I have that were experiencing social anxieties after COVID, I would say they're pretty much, it's kind of everyone's acclimated back to being face to face and whatnot. Not to say there aren't still some cases that are struggling with like, yeah, I have someone who's like, they're not the same afterwards. And it's just that kind of, that break, the developmental phase that the children were in when they were going through that isolation period of time has left its mark on everyone from age 5 to 13 during COVID, that whole age. So now we're getting into the 5-year-olds are 8, 9 now. It's a struggle. It's definitely, they're just kind of this piece of them missing and they don't really know what it is or what that feeling is. So
I want to say that, it's like you have 3 schools right here that are highly academically focused. So anytime that you have a really active AP program, anytime you have a really active IB program, those kids are pushed. And those tests don't wait on kids who are struggling. Those tests have a content because they're standardized across the nation. And so the instructors are pushed to get content out into the classroom. And even high flyers, like I have kids who are like applying to schools overseas that were like top 5 schools overseas, and they still felt like they were doing all that they needed to do. And it's like, to try to get perspective to that is really hard because and it wasn't necessarily parents pushing, it wasn't that, it's like them pushing themselves, it's like their peers pushing them as well. And that's real. Like, that is a big part of the work that I'm doing is kids who have perfectionist tendencies. And then on the other end of that is what you see is kids who have motivational challenges who are super, super bright, but are kind of like middle finger to like, I'm not going to play this game with you. But yet they're so smart. And so trying to like nudge them into how can we get you to get your stuff in, to do the things that you need to do, even just graduate. And super, super smart kids. And so like scores on the SAT and ACT that are just like off the charts, but it doesn't matter if you can't graduate.
I will just echo one thing that you said is that the perfectionism and the lack of motivation. Since I started in this community, it has been that's been a common theme for the 4 years, 5 years I've been in Sammamish working. Yeah. And most of it's self-driven, and most of it is definitely pressure from parents at times, but a lot of it is that self-reported self-motivation.
Are you seeing are there any unique issues you're seeing because we are a fairly affluent community that maybe, are unique to this, or the fact that we have a lot of tech families here that would, give you, challenges that maybe weren't normally found?
I think it relates to what we were just talking about, like the push. Yeah. And so for a lot of kids, it is push from parents and feeling that, or feeling like they're not enough, feeling compared to others. And that's part of it. For the kids that I've seen that were sent to me because they got themselves into trouble with substances because they have means, it's like it's access. They're all driving, really nice cars, and they have access to stuff, and they can go get into shenanigans if they want to. So working with them on understanding that this is in the best interest to have, and talking about like you have access to a lot of stuff, and you will have, and do you want to let that all go by making a really poor decision, because it's one poor decision away from having some real limitations from it.
I have peers that have expressed interest in therapy in the Sammamish community, but their parents, like we've been talking about, don't encourage it. So what are the conversations you have with parents? Like, can you just, like, what is like that kind of balance between what the parents want and the
Yeah,
people
that's
that
a tough
actually,
one
yeah.
because sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's generational. And those are the things, it's a step removed for us. Like we don't have access to the people that we really would like to talk to. The great thing about Washington State is it's 13 years and you can seek counseling, and a lot of times kids at school will seek that out and then send them to another therapist. And that's really, that law is gold. In the current situation where we're going into, it's going to be even more. Feel anxiety, they feel what's going on.
Are there posters on the walls or
What's that?
posters on the wall to tell them that they can make their own decisions? And
A lot of like they tell each other.
I had a client when I was in Jamie's position who had a friend who needed counseling, and they were in Sammamish, and their parents were vehemently against them. No, they didn't want them therapy. There was potential abuse going on in this situation. And I said, how old are they? They were 15. I said, send them over. We'll set them up. It's free. And it was a remote stuff. I was at home and they were in my office at my computer, or at the computer that they brought. They were sat at my desk, and we met. No, we didn't meet for very long, but it was at least enough time for them to get a little bit of perspective on their situation. And so I I encourage them, come send them to us. I mean, at least a consultation. Sometimes that can be like a mini therapy session. At least when I was yeah, it just everything, there's at least resources out there for them, and there's some when they come to an age where they can get it themselves.
The law is intended for exactly that purpose. It's like there are a lot of kids who are at homes where it's not safe to talk about the issues that they're so they have access to healthcare. And it's really good. A lot of parents are most parents are fine with it. Like, I mean, it's like majority of parents are totally and then some parents would be see those folks, obviously they're not.
So just so I understand, under the law, like you don't have to provide the parent with like the medical records, they're protected so that, okay. And this works because the service is free, like the child isn't, doesn't matter, okay.
No, kids can go to any mental health provider in the state of Washington and the rules apply.
So can they access their parents' insurance or?
That would be the only thing that would change that.
Okay.
And that would be what the parents would see would be a knock on their insurance.
Yeah. That's why that situation I explained was because there was no record.
Yeah.
They got nothing. We didn't even, I think the address went to CrossPath. So we got all the information to where it was a safe space for them to come and receive counseling. Yeah. So.
Have you guys been in any situation where you switch the perspective of a parent? Has there been any cases? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Definitely. Do a lot of family therapy.
Family therapy. Cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, so when their kid comes in and they're struggling, and a couple months later they're not, that's you don't even have to talk to the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think, at least in my perspective, a lot of the issue is with the stigma of parent. If there is stigma, it's for sure from parents, because that's kind of like the origin of like the motivation to do well and to be perfect, kind of.
I think a lot of parents too, some of the parents that I've talked to, they don't, what did I do wrong? How did I cause this?
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't want to be faced with that, right? So it is on us to sort of create that space of like, no one's to blame here. There's environmental factors involved here too that are outside of your control, and not everybody knows. The kids, especially teenagers, they don't talk to their parents about what's going on in their life. They talk to us sometimes.
A lot of times you're just holding space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you're facilitating a conversation because that's what's not. People can't have a productive conversation. They can communicate, but usually it's not.
I was just talking to David Downing from YES about the importance of that space and the confidential space, and just how like where we're located now is so wonderful because it's off the beaten path for sure. You have to kind of search it out to find it. And there is that kind of comfort level I feel walking in. There is an employee there, and I can't imagine.
Space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for long.
I don't know.
question.
Yeah. That's the
I
whole.
asked Matt Sanders, come on, you gotta keep it or you gotta
It's
give
such a
another
great
one right
building.
there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a wonderful location for sure. But it is that is like that location is so wonderful for what we do. It's
So many
amazing.
people walked by it that had no idea what it was. Yeah, like, we're the little brown building in the lower commons.
I've had to ask the city to put some signs up that there's a thoroughfare that goes between the building and some trees to the park, and we put some signs up, this is no park access, because that's our play therapy room, and they do work on the weekends in there, and sometimes people will come up and like look in the window and there's like they're doing therapy, and so she put some signs up now and close the blinds. But yeah, other than that, it's absolutely wonderful.
You really get the story in 30 minutes.
No, and that's not the intent, really.
You
Part
have
of-
to know what.
That's right. That's right. And for a lot of, I get a lot of calls from parents for their kids. And so at that point, you can, have the same conversations like your child's their own. They have to be on board if we're going to do this, and that and a lot of it is like, come in and let's see what's going on, because a lot of times they don't know the whole story. And the really important part is that that you are getting people resources to see, and you're giving people enough, like whatever that handoff is to the next person. I do a lot of coaching to people. It's like, okay, they're going to want to know insurance. They're going to know, this is the story. Let's practice kind of your elevator speech about what you're going to do, because it's really hard to get services right now.
These are the exact same thing. That's what I tell people.
To parents interfering things.
Sure.
It's interesting is that I have a different response to that, and that I just see that as love. I see people trying to love their kids and they just don't know how to do it. It's like you're talking about middle school kids, and it's this really tender time in their life when they want to be independent and they don't have a clue about it. Like help them navigate. And it's really like a gift. It's a gift to be able to spend time.
How does like social media affect change, like what you're seeing? I mean, sure, it's a big
Yeah.
cause of the anxiety.
That guy knows more than I do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll be honest. Some of the clients I'm talking about are getting off social media.
That's good.
Yeah, and turning away from it, and as far as how they're informing themselves of who they are, and I'm hoping that's going to be like a worldwide trend of like using it for certain things, but not for everything, and defining who you are. I mean,
It's so engineered to
yeah.
be kind of hurtful and not great. And I mean, hats off to people who developed it, because it's really effective, but man,
Addictive
it's
and-
insidious. Yeah.
Is it older students you think that are kind of going off, and the younger kids
Oh my
are
gosh.
just getting addicted?
The older kids have a much better, like, just, frontal cortex is like key. And the younger kids, it's so bad because they don't have the self-control to keep themselves away from it. And so when people say keep your young kids off of tech, it's like, yeah, it really, it's not serving them.
Do any of the schools around here, I don't know, do they have a no cell phone policy where the cell phones are put away?
Yeah,
No?
sometimes like during lunch at Beaver Lake, they like for the first 30 minutes, they tell them to put their phones away. Then at the end of the last quarter of lunch, then they can use their phones. So they
How
do
about
have
during
policies.
Classroom day.
No, during the classroom day, they tell them to put them in their backpack. So yeah.
Well, let me be clear too, because I don't want to say tech, because tech is like hugely powerful tool. Like I am very pro technology, pro AI, pro like things that are productive. I'm talking primarily about social and things that will pull kids in and not let them have like the ability to have decision making.
Agency, right?
A lot of the AI stuff. I mean, my son works for Microsoft, is even the news, if you're going out and going to MSN or something, they're specifically designed to feed you whatever you want, if you,
Yeah.
and that's the addiction is. It's literally, if you want to believe in space aliens or whatever, you'll start seeing news stories that continue. And the more you click on them, the more of it gets things. So that's where the technology is very, very dangerous.
Is bullying still a problem?
Sure. Yeah.
It's done
In
a
person,
more
and
there's just more tools even. It's more subtle. It's more under. Yeah, it is. But it's not like the kid taking a kid out behind the school.
Which is honestly can be worse, right? I mean, it's much worse.
inappropriate photos and stories.
I mean, now with AI and stuff like that, I mean, you can get inappropriate videos that isn't even real, like a deep fake of this, who knows what. Yeah, that is something I've been thinking about in the future, not so distant future, of being a real problem.
Mhm.
This sort of AI creating images of people doing things that like they didn't
Yeah.
do.
There's already a lot of discussion around that in the security industry. It's like how you can just create a fake of somebody doing something or somebody saying something
Yes.
and create outrage.
Yeah.
Pick your favorite public personality, and it's trivial to make them say something horrific.
Yeah. And that thing is that even if it's fake, it doesn't matter. It's out there. It's like
Yeah.
saying something in court. And strike it from the record, but you said it's out there. And it's up here. You can't strike it from here, right? So strike it from there. Yeah, anyway. That's one of the things I see as being like.
You teach a lot of. I know we talked a little bit about this. Is how to deal with social media and how to at least you keep yourself mentally healthy or protect your emotional state, from what you're seeing, all this negative information, it's kind of just flooding from the infosphere.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely moderation, self-moderation with how much time phones and things like they have timers you can set up. And is that what you're referring
I
to?
was thinking of is there therapy, and this is kind of more of it. Is there a therapy domain or protocols for, okay, how do I deal with, call it social media addiction or something like that, or outrage addiction? It's like, how would you do with somebody and say, hey, I'm watching, cable news and TikTok, and boy, I am getting angrier and angrier. Is there a set of protocols for dealing with that type of situation?
I work with kids on that. Phones actually do a great job of like self-monitoring. If you look at the way that it will tell you what you're looking at, basically. Okay. And that's how I approach it with them. And it depends on the age of the kiddos of how is what I've found to be the most effective. For younger kids, it's talking with the parents because then you have a lot of controls put into place and help them try to understand. It depends on how far they've been, how addicted they are to tech. For older kids, a lot of times they can self-moderate. And there's some really good data about kids saying, I would really like to be off of this. Or if someone took me off of this, I wouldn't be really happy. But yet they can't take themselves off of substance. And so there's nothing that I know of that is like, I can give you a name of it. But there are a lot of strategies that can be used from CBT that will help you work with kids working against something that is not beneficial to kids. And I just use those same techniques with that. And a lot of kids are really open to it. And a lot of kids don't know what they have in their pocket helping them on.
I try that like almost the harm reduction model in a sense with some my clients that have, they go on their phone at night and they get 3 hours and they're like in YouTube purgatory. And it's like set an alarm or something like that, but also just try going one night without it completely and just see, you can do anything with one night. Just try it one night and see how it goes. And Maybe feel like they try it for 2 nights. Next week, try it for a different night, Thursday, and try it over the weekend. See what happens. Maybe find some weather break where it's nice for a couple days, and just take your phone and put it somewhere. Have this on, maybe if you need to take a call or something like that, if you need. But and working with them and moderating, not just going cold turkey, like go to your phone for 2 months, and no, start small, just and just call it a victory, even for 2 hours. Start somewhere, I think is the biggest part with that kind of a thing, is it isn't like a substance where they take it and then they're affected by it for hours on end. It's just don't have it on you when you sit on the couch at night. Nothing at the dinner table, anything like that, right?
Parents also have to be modeling.
Oh, true. So true. Yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, I really think human beings are not meant to be here all the time. There's a world that we are part of. We're created from this world that we live in. We're organic material, just like everything else. And this is not reality here. And I think that there is going to be some time in the future where it is not as powerful as it has been. It's new, it's shiny, we love it. It's really cool. And it is very powerful, and it's a very useful tool. It's very powerful in a lot of not great ways too.
Just curious about those statewide phone numbers. All for help with this and that, whether it's 211 or 811 or 911.
Oh yeah, like crisis connection, things like that too. Yeah.
What's the relationship? Could be the relationship.
With us? No. Oh, I mean, I don't know if I have it on my signature, but I think some people have. Yeah, the
team things.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of kids with suicidality and
Yeah.
self-harm, and so you want to have all those resources as available as possible.
Team Link is a big one. We have cards.
Trevor Project.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's tons of resources available. So you want them to do. Talk to somebody.
I've had some clients go, and I suggest go volunteer there once they kind of get their own issues sort of under control a little bit, and we're doing maintenance work, and say go try volunteering and doing that work and seeing what that's like. And there's a way to sort of solidify the work that they've done and put it into some sort of positive effect that they can kind of give back.
Picture Team like being an evening volunteer project. So they have to get to it in order to take phone calls.
I don't know if there's one locally now. When I did Crisis Connection years ago, and it was in Northgate, and
Yeah, that's why I remember it as.
yeah, and it's a jaunt to get up there. I wish there was one in locally, and even in Bellevue would be nice. But I think there might be one in Bellevue now, like an office now. It wasn't when I was doing it, but even something closer to this area would be nice. But it is a fantastic resource, and it's so needed. And it's 24 hours, and people call all the time. Yeah.
The T-Link that also has a text method, so it's not just
Mhm.
phone.
Yeah, which is who's doing it? Someone that says, oh, Morgan has experience doing that. One of our clinicians, she did that as one of her internships or whatever like that. And yeah, it's helpful. You wouldn't think so, but it is. I mean, it's better than nothing. I feel like sometimes the 30-minute consults, when I was doing that, I'm like, these people may not even reach out for services, but they're on the time. This is like enough time. They really scrape together time to get to do the consult. And I'm like, hey, let's just talk for a little bit more. And like, this is the situation you're in. Just giving them that is better than nothing. And texting connection, crisis connection, whatever is.
Well, if somebody replies, I mean, somebody is there for you.
Yeah, I've found sometimes when I meet with someone, I know they don't have the bandwidth to stick out with therapy for an extended period of time for what it is that they need to work for. But I approach those people like I'm laying a foundation. We're laying a foundation that they can look at therapy as not something that's scary or like a stigma. They can kind of dissipate the stigma. So when they're ready, they can go into it a little bit more confidently down the road. And I think that anything like that connects them with just getting support for feelings and emotions is super helpful. Like, I mean, I didn't say thank you when I introduced myself to the position, but this council and the city offering the service of the consultation alone is
Worth $1 million.
Yeah, and then some, a couple $1 million. It's wonderful. I mean, I wish it was available in every city across the country.
Who's the going rate for private paying
Yeah, right, exactly.
140 to 225.
Mhm.
per hour?
Yeah, family where couples works different is more. Child play therapy is more. Neurodivergence is more. But yeah, basic individual.
Specialized stuff, EMDR, things like that. Are
Yeah.
higher.
But yeah, I would say standard kind of individual therapies. Yeah. And some people do sliding scales too, so they'll charge the majority of people 220. And then if someone comes in and they're really hard up for support and don't have a lot of money, then slide it down. But the financial end of things, even with the grant position, when people are in need, it's definitely giving them that opportunity to seek services out for free. But I think the monetary value is also valuable, and it gives some kind of importance to that time. I can, if there's no value to it, then they're just, I don't feel like going, I'm not going to go. There's no consequence. I don't owe anything. But even if it's $40, I'll just go. I don't have
More
anything to talk
likely to
about.
go if they got money.
Yeah, well, like people that are private paying, it's $160 if they don't show up. So you bet they're in there. Yeah.
Canceled in time, it's at least 75 or something.
Yeah, it's 48 hours notice, and otherwise it's a full charge. So yeah, and that's pretty normal around the industry. So I think it's incentive. Things happen. There's definite wiggle room if something happens. We had a clinician, had a client who was in cancer treatment. There's a lot of excused absences with that client because of course, they're going through a real struggling time. But I'd say for the most part, especially with teens, just get in here and talk to me for 30 minutes and let's do something, right? And then they usually end up doing a whole hour.
I attended a program on Tuesday, primarily for seniors, older seniors, not 12th graders. And the isolation factor with moves or the loss of spouses or friends because of aging.
Yeah.
And the loneliness or having to move someplace other than your home and trying to find new friends and all. Is that a potential client? Come in for 30 minutes?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Those are major life transitions.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Anytime you're getting that divorce, moving, a loss in family, those are all really solid reasons.
Yeah, it's like I said, when we're youth and family is sort of what CrossPath started at, because that was the need. And that's still, a big part of the demographic we serve, but we're not turning people away. Everybody's welcome. I think it's just kind of, that was how it started. I would even change it to just say community. We're not community mental health, but we serve the whole community, not anyone specifically right now.
The only thing I would argue about that is I would say this position is.
Absolutely, for sure, your position is created.
What you're
definitely.
providing is community mental health. The practice as a CrossPath is not, I wouldn't say it is, but this position is.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's very fair. That's very true. Yeah. And that's why it was created. Yeah.
We got flyers.
We do. Yeah.
Bring any?
No. I mean, all right. I can bring some tomorrow if you'd like. Yeah. We actually, that was one of the things. We had little bags of toys, and those flyers went pretty well for everybody. So yeah, it's got his picture on it. Looks so nice. But yeah, it's like, well, one of those things where I think we were talking with them about putting some, if there's a table out there with other sort of community flyers, things like that. And
Right there, and of course the library too.
in the library and even the YMCA. I don't know if the YMCA, but yeah, I walk through here almost every day. I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, and just to get a little exercise, and I could bring some and refill the stacks if that would be. Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure. I do it a couple times, and it's good. Do it a couple more times. But yeah, if we could pull up some real estate in here or over there for the flyer for I anywhere in Sammamish, I'll go.
Well, as you go out through the first double door,
Uh-huh.
on your right, there's a sort of a bookcasey looking place that you can put things in.
Okay. Do you mind having your face?
We have them and they're two-sided.
Yeah.
And I know it's you that keeps flipping over, so it shows my finger back over. I flip back over, and every day you come back in.
Yeah, I want to make sure that their attention is drawn to it. But yeah, no, that would be wonderful if we could do that. And then would I just go speak to someone at the library and asking sort of where that could go? Okay. Yeah. I think it kind of speaks for itself that it's community serving. So yeah.
The
Thank you.
adult librarian is moving on to a big job down at the headquarters for King County Libraries. So they don't, Sarah Jensen, and I think they'll have a senior, what they call the adult librarian, who loves to put together various opportunities to, okay, Wednesday at 3:30 is going to be this in that room. Yeah. Whatever the topic, not just how to do good things with your photography, but real deep subjects.
So that's a great thing to bring up. One of the issues with the group, we have a decent sized space in our office, but our group room is limited. I mean, you wouldn't be able to fit all these. You would be able to fit these tables if it would be sitting up against the walls, like standing almost. Would that be an option for us to utilize that space for groups?
Meeting rooms over there. One of them is probably about the size,
Yeah. Okay.
which makes it a group that will talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to the large room that looks out on Farmers Market, that you'd feel lost if you only had 12 people in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to create a new space in this room I'm describing and have things some more like couches and comfortable spaces like that for people to come and do groups and sit in, or us to lounge in as we're taking our lunch and this and that. So that would eventually be the nice. But I mean, if there's something that we could utilize there, it'd be just nice to know that that's an option if we put something together.
The name John Kim is the current individual covering until this new position comes in.
Okay. And you said John Kim. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you all for your
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
I'll send you some more names.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Here, let me give you not your card. One of my cards. Would anybody else? I gave you two. You want? Would you like them? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, it's like similar sort of look. And yeah, I'll yeah, right. I will bring over, maybe even tomorrow. I'm going to be up here in the morning, so maybe I'll swing by and put some of those flyers out. The newsletter, that was something that right now, I think there was a full page of when I was doing the position like 2 summers ago, and I thought maybe sometime time. There's use your picture. Yeah, but something like that, I think that would be really helpful, because this one recently, I think it's smaller and it didn't really seem to generate much. There's been quite a few consoles in some weeks, yeah, so maybe it is getting there now, but that one in the summer, I remember the summer months are so slow, and when that came out, it was like, I had so many consoles coming in.
It was like a front page story about you and.
Yeah, it was.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was really well done, and I think it gave people a lot. So my clients were like, "Hey, I saw you." But people were coming up to us like right here, actually, right there, and they were, oh, how long have you guys been around? This is interesting, because I had this big thing that said city-funded counseling available. Yeah. How long has this been going on? What's the story with this? And we said, oh, well, flyer. And it's been helpful.
Another one of those best kept secrets.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I mean, we're just getting out, but definitely still is getting. Yeah,
I'm seeing a lot of people, which is good. individual member stuff.
But I was gonna say like 5 to 10 consults and 17 to 20, that seems like pretty full schedule,
It is.
but yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Again, my day is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Late. It's good. It's good. I mean, I think the need's gonna get.
What thousand housing?
Yeah, so how many? Lot, so, and yeah, other places are expanding as well. I mean, as long as this position is available, I think there'll be a definite need for it. And it is a need. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. It's been great having you.
Yeah.
Chair, can I suggest all the commissioners go and grab some more snacks?
Yes.
Sure.
Little sugar.
Probably the best money the city spends.
Yes. I remember the discussion went on for about 5 months before we finally were able to move it.
Oh.
Yeah, because first of all, the council wanted to second guess how it was approached. And then should we expand it to include this and this?
I mean, I just think this really, that just breaks down so many things for people.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Right near the entrance.
No, we don't allow bathroom breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Then money becomes less of an issue. We want to just finish up and then call it a day. Do we have anything for staff report?
Yeah, hello, good evening, commissioners. So I just wanted to give you a breakdown of some things that as staff we've participated in this last month. So we've been invited to participate in the Issaquah School District Community Advisory Board. And so this is a collaborative group brought together by Issaquah School District staff, comprising nonprofits, community groups, and some city staff. And really the aim of that is to address the mental health needs of the student community within Issaquah School District. They're meeting 3 or 4 times a year, and their purpose is to identify and address gaps in services, develop and implement strategies to improve access to mental health services and counselling, and also just trying to just identify gaps, you know, and really just the whole premise is just to have a group of folks from different organizations and groups and brainstorm to figure out how students can better access resources. Very lofty goals. I went to the first meeting, however, it was great and there was lots of folks there. And so again, we'll be meeting 3 or 4 times a year, and I will update you in a few months to tell you how that's going. Also, we've met with King County and other fellow Eastside cities to discuss the idea of an Eastside Crisis Care Center. So King County received money and they want to have 5 crisis care centers within King County, 1 dedicated to youth mental health counseling. And the reason for this is really, the reason for this is just basically to ease emergency room access for folks in critical mental health needs. The goal is to serve up to 14,000 annually, and it's to offer services to anyone regardless of their medical insurance. So they currently have one, even though it's technically not a North King County hub, but they have crisis care connections in Kirkland currently, and Kirkland is technically North King County. And so for East King County, it's us, Bellevue, Issaquah, Redmond, unincorporated, Snoqualmie. And so they're trying to locate a geographical space and also find a nonprofit provider that will run this crisis care connection. And so I think for a lot of, they're hoping for a lot of admittance from the emergency services, police, and again, for folks in mental health crisis. And so they're still fleshing that out and it's very much in early stages. Just speaking anecdotally, like I don't think Sammamish would be a place where they'll put the crisis care connection center because they need access through transportation, and clearly we don't really have that. And so they're really looking for a city that will host that as well as a provider. And so that's still very much in planning stages. Let's see what else. Also participated in the East King County Severe Weather meeting, and that was with KCRHA, King County Homelessness Authority, just to figure out like what happens in the case of severe weather. And that was a real convening of lots of like nonprofits that work within the homelessness sector. For the first time ever, we presented to an all-staff meeting to let them know what we do in human services. In 8 years, we hadn't done that, and the shield has been lifted, and we're not you know, this mystique, like what do they do in human services? But we were able to present, and that was very well received. And then finally, we've produced, along with the city of Issaquah, a new Nourishing Network cards. I'm sure Commissioner Bottenberg, you recall the original Nourishing Network card. Staff worked with the staff at the city of Issaquah, and we've produced this Nourishing Network card. We're going to be giving this to the front desk and also to Eastside Fire and Rescue, as well as our police. And this is just for emergency resources that are needed. So we have emergency shelters, safe parking, and then resources for behavioral health, meals and basic needs, and emergency hotlines. Clearly, this is very limited real estate. We can only fit so much. So we have some QR codes here that will then sort of like, give access to more resources. So again, this is just for like our emergency responders, our front desk, or anyone else to give out to the community that reside within Sammamish and Issaquah. And that's it. So welcome any questions.
Thank you. Sounds like you've been very, very busy.
Again, when is the council?
Great question. I believe that's on the 19th, but I'm going to pop it over.
Lost in them. Okay, I want to print this page to this page, kind of like history of Sammamish or something, but it doesn't line up what I want to do with the number that's on the page. It's like, okay, now how do I go figure out that?
Oh, you're
If you
referring to
put that
the,
together, that's a phenomenal job.
oh, thank you.
And
Yeah, I
I'm sure
was
you did
involved.
because you got the title for it.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the page number of the PDF versus the page number listed. They're slightly different. If you need help separating out any sections, Joyce, I'm happy to send those your way.
I think I'm going to go through all 300 pages to find that 3 pages I want.
It's a beast of a document, but surprisingly short when compared to other city budgets. I will say that. Rita is correct that it's currently scheduled for council approval next week on the 19th, the council meeting on the 19th. From what I understand, it will probably be approved with the Human Services Commission's base funding recommendation, as we had kind of previously talked about.
50,000 in there. That sounds good.
Another 50,000 in
Yeah.
Human
You know, I'd
Services?
be over and above the
Oh, yeah. So we actually, did we mention about the senior programming? So the Beaver Lake Lodge senior programming is currently funded at 85,000 per year. And in talking with Lolita, the executive director at IACS, she said that's not really coming close to their costs. Their costs are actually closer to 150,000 per year. So we're more fully funding, not fully funding their program.
I was wondering if it was the 35 extra that we were asking for, and maybe rounding them up to 100.
Unfortunately not. That is pretty much all going to the IACS senior program. So we're bumping from 85 per year to 110,000 per year to more fully fund their costs.
They put a lot of time and energy into that.
They certainly do.
Paid
Yeah.
staff.
We're getting a lot of value for that.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
I still feel spastic and touchy. Do I go left or right?
Excellent. Good. Do we have any commissioner reports?
Do you remember the aging fair conversation?
Yes.
We had over 200. Yeah. Yeah. Paul Stickney went around and set up all these little road signs.
Oh, great.
Anyway, we had over 200 there. It was a blue sky sunny day, October 12th. I think the vendors had as much fun with each other as they did with walk-ins, just because they hadn't got together like that. It was fantastic. And the speakers were good because we had it on fraud, spam, not spam, but
Fishing?
no, whatever. It was fraud and scams. That's the word. Yeah. And then one on by the Poison Control, Washington Poison Center on medication management. And that was really well done. And the third one was very complicated. There's all these, what HopeLink is trying to do is a beta project that might become something that becomes countywide. It's going to become maybe national wide on being able to figure out how to get from here to there. And it's not signing you up for a ride. It's showing you what the options are based on where you want to go and the time you want to be there. And this was all done on a screen. And it was really, okay, now if you just walk it down here, she was saying, okay, you're going to go from the library to Safeway. All right, you want to go at this time and you want to be able to get there. What's available to get you there? Well, you're lucky. You're near a bus stop, so you can take one of those city things that it's available. Or you could do this, or you could do that, but then it leaves it up to you to go after that potential to be able to sign yourself up, and then you got to figure out how you pay for it. So there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked on there. Because as we know, there's not that logical transportation of getting from here to there. We'll do another one. Another resource fair, probably, yeah. Talking about how we can just make information available to people.
I get, for me, just say is I'm not seeking another term on the Human Services Commission. I'm actually going to be moving out of the city probably in the January, February timeframe. So
Arizona?
Arizona.
We did decide.
Yeah, we've decided we're getting our house ready for sale. So yeah, so we'll definitely need somebody to take to be the chair and deputy. So.
I've taken a new. So, but my time, it's very limited. I've enjoyed my time. Great commission. Learning.
So January is the last meeting, yes.
And that's where we elect the new.
In February.
No, that'll be in February.
Oh, that's February.
Yeah.
Okay.
New group.
I apologize for not being here.
Excellent. That's good.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Oh, look out, Mary.
Yeah.
So we have commissioner. Yeah, we have two commissioners that didn't attend. So sorry, what was your question? So currently the applications are open and then they're going to be applications are going to end in January, and then council will interview prospective candidates and then make a decision from there. Yeah, I'm happy to send out to the commission if you want, like, send it to your networks. If you think of anyone, I can, send you the link to. Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah.
I think January 10th is the day they're due back, and then council meeting does the interviews. They're going to be online again or in person?
I think we typically try to bring applicants in person for those. It'll be at, as you mentioned, Commissioner Mottenberg at council's second meeting in January. I think that's the 14th.
Yeah, so we have a youth representative, and we did not hear. I mean, normally Commissioner Yang is always here, and yeah, so we didn't hear back from her for this meeting. But yes, we do. Yeah.
Their terms expire at the end of April. Do they come out of the youth board?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a great question. I mean, is it 18? I don't think it's even 18. I mean, I know we have a youth representative. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look to see what the rules are, but I can't recall seeing any sort of age limit. I think you just have to be a Sammamish resident.
And my sense is that a lot of them are going to be going off to university. So yeah, but yeah, that's we'll definitely offer it to them. Yeah.
I know there was some discussion that do we need to meet next month or just meet back in January?
That's the will of the commission as staff. Like, we're happy to, have a meeting in December. But if the commission so chooses, we can also cancel and meet in January.
I'm fine with canceling. Okay. And all in favor of canceling next month's commission
The
meeting?
consensus is,
What?
yeah, consensus or a motion.
Do I hear a motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, it carries. Anything else? Oh, I know. So I think that makes you the most senior member.
Not quite.
Oh, well, yes, yes, yes. Might not even- Yes,
Out of the task force.
that's true, absolutely. Practically an institution for the,
Back when the city clerk used to handle all of the relationships with the grantees.
I make a
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
any seconds?
Oh.
I'm in my second 4-year term, and then the task force was 2 years.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
No discussion needed, right?
Yeah.